everyone, I'm Lindsay Hoffman and welcome to the Dose of Bliss show where we give you daily doses of bliss. Today we have a model, adventurer, and runner of Run with Ryan. We got Ryan Young with us today.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, Lindsay. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. So for everybody watching who doesn't know what you do, you have a blog about running, and I kind of want you to start out with what you do because it's crazy. I mean, I said this on my Instagram today, but he's ran 100 miles through Alaska in the cold with like 20 or 30 pounds behind you.
Yep, survival equipment, just in case we were stranded and needed, everything to take care of ourselves for however long.
So you're one of those guys who's like the Anthony Bourdain of running. That's what I feel like is the way to describe you.
I could be so lucky. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned him. He's always been, was one of my idols. Someone I looked up to in, terms of connection to each other, in terms of traveling around the world, putting ourselves into uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, and I mean, that's when I read it and I was thinking how to describe you. That's the only way to describe you, because you travel the world, but you run, but you go to different cultures, and it's so different than what you've seen before. Well, and so inspirational.
Thank you. I'm out there trying to have fun, trying to keep myself going, I guess excited. Seeing new places, meeting new people. And then the flip side of that is, what does that mean for me, and how, who am I in the world? So It's kind of this
So what inspired you to do this? Because most people don't wake up and say, I'm going to run 100 miles through Alaska or any sort of area at all.
No. Well, I guess my running story probably starts about 6 years ago. I was here in LA. I joined a new gym. I was doing a lot of spinning, a lot of biking, that kind of thing. And I was walking into yet another spin class at a new gym. And I just had this moment, I stopped in my tracks. I said, I'm a little bored doing the same thing. And so I looked over, there was a treadmill. I jumped on the treadmill. I was not a runner. Jumped on the treadmill for about 10 minutes. And I was pouring sweat and exhausted. I'm like, that sucks. But I made a decision where I was going to do it every day for 7 days. Then I could decide if I wanted to keep going. Well, over the course of the week, I was on the treadmill, and I remembered when I was a kid, probably 14, 15, one of my older sisters did an ultra marathon. It was a 50-mile race. I ran in the last mile with her, and she had sprained her ankle. And I remember looking at her. She was dirty and dusty and kind of crying. And I remembered that I had thought then, like, wow, one day I'll do that. And so all of this stuff was coming back to me, and I just kept running. 6 months later, I did the LA Marathon. Stayed at the marathon distance for about 2 years. And then literally the next step was inspired by a dream I had one night. Where I was away with some friends, and I had dreamt that I ran the distance of California. So I woke up and I'm talking to my friends, like, what does this mean? And one of them encourages me to jump on Google and see who's done it. Well, believe it or not, there was a team being put together to run from Huntington Beach to Arizona.
That is so crazy.
So,
you had a dream, and it was going. Right? We're all about manifesting on this show, and it happens.
Absolutely. From dream to in front of me to starting in Huntington. It was just a couple months after I signed up, where I did 10 days of 30 miles a day crossing California. It was epic. And I knew if I hadn't known that I was hooked then, I was hooked at that last day, because I'd only planned to run the distance of California. There was still 15 people who were going all the way to DC. I was like, oh man, like that's awesome. So that was kind of really the beginning.
They were going to run from California to Washington, D.C.
Oh yeah, they finished. It took them three and a half months. Yeah, 30-something miles.
That's crazy. You're like, I need to prepare to do that.
Yeah, I was like, that's really cool. I feel like that. It's funny. The that 10th day of 30 miles, 26.2 is the marathon distance. That 10th day was my fastest marathon for a couple of years. Like just the adrenaline and, I think we have a tendency to kind of, when things start to feel uncomfortable, most people will give up. I've had my moments too, where over the course of the 10 days, I felt uncomfortable. I felt my body and my bones kind of aching, but you kept going. And there was a learning curve, if you will, where I came out on the other side feeling amazing. Like I just wanted to keep going with it. So I did.
So what makes you not want to stop when, you're teaching your body and your mind still wants to go? What do you do what is it, I guess actually, what does that teach you about your body, that your mind can really go further than you feel that your body can?
Yeah.
Or your body can?
Yeah. What keeps me going in those moments are probably that it too will pass. Just that basic thing. As high as I feel, no doubt I'll have lows that feel incredibly low. That Alaska race that you mentioned, I definitely had a moment during that where I'll tell you, the goal is to try to do it without stopping. So we started Saturday morning, went all day Saturday during the day, Saturday night. Back in that 30 pounds of gear I had was a tent. And for a couple of hours Sunday morning, I was debating, do I throw up the tent? Do I sleep? Do I not? No, keep going. The whole inner monologue that we have. I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut the difference. I'm going to sleep for 45 minutes, an hour. My phone went off. I have some video of it. I'm looking into the phone saying, oh, okay, here we go. Because it's all kind of a cycle where, everything in life is temporary. And so seize the moment and just kind of keep going.
So on these runs, you only take 45-minute naps for a period of time? Or?
Each one is a little bit different. Yeah, I had my very first attempt at a 100-mile race was up in Colorado. I did not train for elevation, altitude, anything. I was a little bit ignorant to it and stubborn, if you will. And yeah, 20-something hours in, I had grabbed a friend of mine who was helping to crew me along the way. He's not a runner. And I said, okay, you have to walk with me because I need you to point out where I have to step, basically, if we're on the trail. Well, we thought we were a little off the trail. He walks away and I just collapsed.
Oh my gosh.
That was the end of it. That was the end of my, yeah.
So
I didn't even give myself the option to sleep.
I can't even imagine pushing my body that far to beyond what you even can imagine capable. What have you learned about yourself since doing that?
That is one of the things for sure, that we're all capable of much more than we give ourselves credit for. Mm-hmm. For me, it happens to be in the physical realm in running. But I like to say often it can be, whatever it is for anybody. Running was for a long time that little voice inside of me saying, you could do this, you could do this. Oh, maybe you'll want to do this. And I ignored it for a long time. Most everybody, some sort of a voice inside their head that as a culture, I think we tend to ignore. So I've learned to embrace all of those. Sound like a little crazy.
No, I don't think that sounds crazy at all.
Embrace all those little voices, if you will, maybe my intuition, and run with it.
Yeah, run with it. I like that. You do have to go with what feels right. That's why I have the show here.
Totally.
The voice in my head was that I needed to be doing this. The voice in your head was to run. The voice, this is a message for anybody watching. The voice in their head, I mean, if you can do it, if we can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, you ran 100 miles. I don't know if I'll go as far to do that, but that's fact that anyone could push themselves to do what they want and wake up one day. I mean, you just started this 6 years ago. Yeah. And you were just running 10 miles. I mean, 10 minutes a day. Not even, I don't even know how many miles that is. That's the app. Most people can run
couple, if that.
For 10 minutes, So going from that to 100 miles in 6 years is amazing. Yeah. So I was reading up about you and we were talking about how running is also meditational for you. So can you describe how that centers yourself and the changes you've noticed within that?
Yeah, of course. So when I go out for a run, or if it's on the treadmill outside, my phone goes on Do Not Disturb. First and foremost, it's my time. If I'm on the treadmill, I'll pick a point in front of me, and I'll try to let everything just kind of fade away. There's a debate among runners, do you listen to music or do you not? I love listening to music. It's, for me, one of those things that helps take my body and my mind to someplace else. So I'll pick that point, and I'll just start running, and hopefully everything can just kind of fall away. And it's one of those things where it is similar to meditation when I do meditate, which is also part of my daily kind of health and fitness regimen. Everything just kind of falls away, and I am, on one hand, aware of everything around me, but on the other hand, just letting it all go. Yeah, those are my favorite times. when I do run. And also the times where I'll look down and check my mileage or check my time. I'm like, holy crap, where'd all like
Yeah, you
10
just
minutes flew by.
disappeared.
Yeah, yeah.
So were you like that before you started running? Because I remember you saying earlier in the conversation and in your blog that you had wanted to find out more about why we are the way we are and why you are and deeper meaning to things.
Have I found out more?
Yeah, so I guess my question is, what's the difference before? Did you meditate before? Did you think about those things before? And then what have you learned about what you were searching for?
Yeah, I like to think that I've always been a little bit of an introspective person. Definitely spiritual in the generic sense of taking a little bit from everywhere and, trying to formulate a, worldview. Yeah, I was always on the search, but running for me is one of those things where not only is it my time or my phone goes on at Do Not Disturb, the paradox of it being it's the time when I'm most aware. It's the time when I've met the most people, made the most valuable human connections. Maybe because I'm in a physical state, or I'm on one hand maybe wearing myself down, I'm a little vulnerable or more open to things. Yeah, I feel like I'm taking who I was before and diving 100 times further into all of it. And I think, like I said at the beginning, challenging myself to be a bit more, to live in the more uncomfortable periods of life or times in life, because that's when we learn, that's when we grow, that's when we make connection.
That's true, and that reminds me of something I've learned in yoga, which I know you do yoga too, is they tell you, especially in hot yoga, sit through the pain, because the pain is what brings you into the present moment. And that's so true, because what about when you're on an airplane and there's that turbulence? All of a sudden, you are in the moment. You're not thinking about anything except for being in the moment. And when you're running these miles and you're in pain, and I think that's something people don't realize, because regular in life, you're sad, you're in pain, and you're just upset. You think maybe you can't get out of whatever is going on in your life, or you're not thinking about that. Pain is there to suck you into the present moment and to learn to sit through that present moment and appreciate it.
Very true.
Which is kind of what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's that perspective? How has that changed your perspective on life?
In an odd way, it's helped me, this is gonna sound weird, helped me grow up more, to learn that, what's that phrase, like lifestyle, like all of that. Like, I don't necessarily believe it does, but in the moments where things might not feel good, it's okay. It's okay, just relax. And I guess that's what meditation, yoga, all of, that genre of health does for us, where if we sit with the pain, it's an opportunity to kind of look in and use it as, it's funny, when I'm running hills, that's one of the mantras I'll think of. I'll see there's a big hill in front of me and I'm climbing, and I'm out of breath. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to use my legs, to use my mind, and to go a little bit further. So if I translate that into everyday life, it's kind of the same thing.
Do you notice yourself taking more opportunities to do different things?
Yes.
Because of this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I moved to LA. I'm born and raised in Chicago.
Me too.
Outside.
We got the Chicago show
right,
today.
right near each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved out to LA when I was 18. I was doing a lot of acting in Chicago and moved out here, and I loved it. I still love it out here. But there was this, I think, just living in one spot for a certain amount of time, for a long amount of time, you tend to get comfortable. So yeah, I think it's all it was something new in my life that sparked a new interest and kept me going.
That's so cool. And what about learning to slow down? Because you're saying during this you had to learn when it's okay to stop. So a lot of people want to go, go, go. So how do you know when it's okay to stop? Because it is okay to take a break, but we all in all areas of our life don't always let ourselves do that. That
has been one of the biggest struggles for me, because if I had it my way, I would run 7 days a week, go, 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 go. And that's just what I like to do. When you're training for a marathon, trainers always talk about take the week or so before and taper. Like, just let your body rest, because then you'll come back feeling rejuvenized. And when I'm training, I find it so hard. I'll still go out for small runs. That being said, it's something that, yeah, I try to focus on when I can, through yoga, through meditation every day, at 20 minutes, my time, just my world, my thoughts, trying to release them. And then also learning from other people. It's funny, like, as I've been traveling around, say Alaska, I just got back from Tahiti, and I spent a couple days sailing with a guy who ran a race with me. We ran in pairs. But his thing is he's a sailor, or he navigates in the traditional French Polynesian way according to the stars. And we're out there, and I'm kind of interviewing him a little bit and recording a little bit and just chatting. And he said something that a woman up in Alaska who races dogs said the same thing. She said, you know what, there's something, they both said there's something really great, something totally different. Something happens to your mind and your body when you move slowly through a place. So maybe we don't have to be completely still, but just go a little bit slower and take things in. Like maybe go for a walk instead of, you know, jumping in the car to go to the gym, like wherever, yeah. And it really gives our minds an opportunity to allow the world in that we otherwise just zoom right by.
That's so amazing. Not only do you learn how to live in the present moment more by what you're doing, but you're also learning from different cultures and different people and getting lucky nuggets of wisdom from people you probably would never meet to become
I never would have.
a bigger person. So we only have a few minutes left, so I have two more questions. Is one, so you've already done all these crazy things. What is your next goal?
I've got one thing I've had my eyes on for a while. Yeah, a little teaser. There's a desert in Africa that the mythology is nobody from outside the desert has crossed it since the late 1930s.
Is there a reason why? It's too hot?
Yes, it's considered to be one of the most inhospitable places on the planet, with an average temperature, I think, of 125 degrees. There's more volcanoes there than Hawaii or Iceland, but they're actually subterranean, so all the sulfuric acid and whatnot bubble up over the, from the ground. It is remote. But again, there I was a couple years ago, I was in London in a hotel, and there was a magazine, and I opened it up and I saw a picture. I was like, that's epic. Like, I need to do that. So I've been working my way up to it, and I'm putting that together.
That sounds scary. So from freezing Alaska to now Africa with like bubbling volcanoes, you're running all over the world in the craziest ways. So for my last question is, what is the most important thing you want to leave our viewers with to either know about you or what you've learned?
I think the most important thing is we're all capable of so much more. We give ourselves, it's okay to be satisfied in the moment, but it's also okay to keep reaching, to keep setting goals and keep finding ways to get there, or even just set the goal and do something small every day to get there, not understanding the entire why, or not the why, the how I'm going to make it happen, because sometimes the how just figures itself out.
Yeah, you had the dream about running across California, and all of a sudden there was a team. If you don't have the destination of where to go, you can't plan the trip. You can't. If you want to do something, you can Google it, and sure enough, something will probably pop up to do it. But if you weren't knowing that was where you wanted, just like running, if you don't know that's the destination you want to get to, then how are you going to get there? How are you going to do it? Well, thank you so much for being on our show. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at runwithryan.org or R-Y, Young, Y-O-U-N-G on Instagram.
Yeah, you guys got to follow him. And if you want to keep watching Dose of Bliss, which I hope you do, you can watch us on EverTalk TV, Focus TV Network, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lindsay B. Hoffman. We'll see you guys next time. And thank you so much for having a little Dose of Bliss day. Bye.